welcome to today's episode. I'm your girl, Coach Tocha Moore. This is the lovely and amazing Jenny King. I'm going to introduce her, y'all. This is a gem right here. I'm so excited that you guys are here with us today. I'm going to pause a second because I always forget. Hit the subscribe button. If you're on YouTube, wherever you are, Facebook, hit the follow, all the things so that you are always in the know of what's going on with the squad. So girls, ladies, today we are talking about comparison and how we get from comparison to being content. Y'all know, I'm pretty sure we've all been there. And so I'm very excited about this episode. And I'm more excited to be hanging with this lady right here, okay? She is an absolute gem, a very good friend of mine. Let me introduce you to the Miss Jenny King.
I don't know how I live up to this.
Yeah, pretty princess. You did just fine. It was great. It was
There we go. There we go.
So before we get into it, how are we with our goals today? Did we reach them? We did. All right, we're going to give ourselves a hug. Love on you because you did what you said you were going to do. And if you didn't, guess what? That's okay too. We're going to clap it up or down, however you want to. New slate, clean slate, start over, do whatever you need to do to get the things that you want to get, because we are always fighting for the best version of ourselves over here at the squad, right? Y'all, this one right here is such an amazing light. I promise you she is. Her heart is as big as, I don't even know how to describe it. What's the biggest planet? Like Earth? Is it Earth?
You're gonna make me cry.
Something. Whatever it is. An amazing, beautiful, the most hype girl ever in the world. She is always hyping other women to become exactly who they're meant to be. And she is on a mission to help people create generational wealth through lending. You need a house. I'm the house girl. She's the money girl, okay? That's how we roll. And so, and the other part of that is she has an amazing journey connecting with the people that she serves. She does a really good job. So I'm so excited for her to be here with us today.
That's quite an intro. I mean,
it's the truth.
I mean, I'm a little teary. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a big
but we
baby,
have tissue. We always do. See?
Okay,
just in case. We always have tissue just in case because we cry over here.
No, I'm so grateful. Thank you for having me. I mean, it really means a lot. I think your followers are so lucky to have you and to be able to learn from you, because you are one of the most, I don't even know what the right word is, but you are one of those women who, when you speak, there's a wisdom there that is so far beyond your years, and it's always just so meaningful, because you know when you hear you speak that it's going to be worth listening to. So I'm just honored that you let me come on and hang with you.
Now you're about to make me cry. Okay, like let's not start that way. Okay. Thank you so much for such kind words. I really do appreciate that. So y'all, we're gonna get into it. We're talking about comparison and what that looks like. So our episode today is entitled Comparison to Contentment, Embracing Your Unique Journey. Because guys, we all have a way that we're gonna get there, and it doesn't have to look like the person next to us.
For sure.
Okay, so I'm excited. So we're gonna be talking about the comparison trap. We don't wanna fall into traps, right? Where comparison leads to. The shift from comparison to gratitude, and grounding, embracing who you are and celebrating others along the way. So ladies, if you struggled with comparison, this is the episode for you. Yeah. All right, here we go. Let's get into it, Miss Jenny.
Let's go.
Notes. Look at me.
I love it. You're so professional. It's very impressive.
We'll see if I can read it, okay? That's we'll see what happens.
Some days are better than others, right?
You know? Okay, so the first thing that I want us to talk about is what do you feel like comparison looks like in today's society?
Ooh, that's a big question, because it has changed so much with the evolution of social media. Comparison doesn't quite look like it used to, because it's more internalized for a lot of people now. There's a lot of people silently struggling with comparison. Do you know what I mean? Because there's so many things that you see and you read and you hear, and you think everybody's doing better than me. They make it look so easy while I'm over here struggling. And then they're inside at home alone in the doom scroll, feeling like they're the only one, and there's no outlet. Right? Like when we were in school, if somebody was the mean girl or whatever it was, because she was feeling inadequate, that came out in bullying or smack talking or whatever. Mm-hmm. But when you're at home alone and you're digesting it, there's no outlet for it. So then it becomes more of a mental weight. Mm. So I think that it can look really different for every single person. Does that answer your question?
Absolutely.
Okay.
We're talking to it, girl. Yeah, I 100% agree. I feel like when I grew up, you had the bully, it was just at school. So it was like, all right, somebody said something to you, but when you got home, you were good.
That's right.
Now we live in a world where it's ever present all the time. Maybe you saw a beautiful woman in the magazine and then that was it. But now that's all that's on your, so you scroll and you're like, oh wow, okay. And it's just ever present. So I feel like there isn't an escape from it like it used to. Like you had the bully, it was okay. When you got home, bully was gone. Now the bully's trolling you on Facebook and commenting on your stuff.
Yeah.
Unliking your pictures, making mean comments.
And so boldly, too.
Right?
There's a lot of audacity out in the social media. But I think the other thing, too, is what's so new now is it's not even bullies. Like now there is quiet, like I guess that's maybe the best way to describe it, quiet disappointment in your own life, because you are seeing somebody who's the Pinterest mom who can bake the cakes and always have the things prepared. I don't worry about that stuff because I know I'm not that person. I'm never going to be that person. If we roll in with something with a tag still on it, we showed up, and that's what we know. So I'm not that person. That doesn't trip me up. But for a lot of people, they see somebody who looks like they're doing it better, and there's no bullying, but all of a sudden you're questioning whether you've made the right life choices, whether you're as far as you should be by your age. That's a big one for women. And whether you've just gotten it all wrong all along, which is not true.
Right. And maybe it is. Guys, we get it wrong sometimes.
We do get it wrong.
And I think it's learning to embrace your story, your page.
Yeah.
Right? Because when I was a stay-at-home mom, I would hear people say, oh, she's just a stay-at-home mom. Just a stay-at-home mom? I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? The same respect that I would give to somebody working in a company, I worked just as hard raising my kids at home. Yeah. And the truth of the matter was, I was home because it made financial sense. We were going to pay so much for daycare, it made sense for me to be home. But I got made to feel like, oh, that's not really a job. Well, kind of is. Raising kids is not easy. Yeah. I'll raise my hands and say that. So I think it's remembering you have your own journey and it looks how it's supposed to look. Maybe you don't bake. Who cares? And maybe someone else does. Listen, but I tell people all the time, it's about having people in your community that do. I bake. Girl, what kind of cookies do you need? What do you need? Cupcakes? Hey, Tasha, can I get 12? Yes, I got you. Right? Whereas I would call Jenny for an idea. Like, okay, I'm going to give you these cupcakes, but I need an idea for this. I'm having a party. Give me an idea or something I can do. I think maybe you don't do it, and maybe somebody in your world does. And even if they don't, stop by Publix and get something. Who cares?
Yeah. I agree. And I do agree. We all do make mistakes, but there's this tendency, especially as women, because the roles have shifted so much as to who we are in this world and what we're doing. And, there's so much more weight mentally and physically in terms of work on women's shoulders now. There's a tendency to go back and do like the lifelong, like, where did I mess up? And they're looking for holes and missteps. And there's no sense in worrying about regrets. Just, appreciate that you have so many amazing things in your life. And 99.9% of what we see on social media is fake anyway. Like, let's be so for real. Yeah. Nobody's kitchen looks that good all the time.
It's a moment.
Can we be so for real?
It's a moment. I say all the time, that's a moment that somebody paused to say, let me take a picture. I can guarantee you I've done it. And 10 minutes later, I'm like, Lord, look at this kitchen. I took a picture because it was clean. That's just the truth. Like, let me get this shot real quick while it looks like this. Because in 10 minutes, it won't. Yeah. It won't. And it's okay, like, to acknowledge, like, that's a moment in their life. And I have a moment where my kitchen was clean and I took an amazing picture. If you walk in there now, it's this side cabinet is full of dry dishes.
Yeah.
And I won't take a picture. I will take a picture in front of that because it doesn't bother me, but some people won't. And that's okay. Like, it is what it is.
Absolutely.
Okay, so one of the questions I wanted to ask you was, have you ever caught yourself in the comparison spiral?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I'm human. I certainly don't do it as much now as I used to. But yeah, for sure, I'm human. I mean, there are days when I'm like, wait a minute, what am I doing? They're so far ahead of me, and I'm like, wait a minute. They're not living my life. They're not walking in my shoes. Their needs are different. Their wants are different. So yeah, of course I'm guilty of it. How about you?
Oh, of course, 100%. So I heard you say you don't do it as much now as you used to. What do you think the shift was?
Oh, the big shift was when, and I know we're going to talk about this in a little bit, really talking about gratitude.
Yeah.
But I think once you develop a lifestyle that is based in gratitude for how much God blesses you, even in the things that you don't necessarily see, and you root yourself in that, it becomes really hard to be ungrateful. And typically comparison comes from a lack of gratitude for where you are. And that's not, a bad statement about anyone. We've all been there. But once you root yourself in gratitude, it's really hard. It's really hard to be like, why don't I have that? Because then you remember that God has a different plan for you. Your life looks different because your story's different. And that wasn't meant for you. If it was, that's what you'd have in this season. Yeah.
Period. Did y'all catch that nugget? If it was meant for you, it'd be what you had.
Yeah.
Where you are is exactly where you're supposed to be. What you have is what you're supposed to have. And that's okay. And one of the things I think for me was the shift is realizing that I'm only seeing moments in someone's story.
Yeah.
And I don't know the page or the chapter or even the book of their complete story. So I'm only getting a moment. And that moment might look great on social, or it might look great when I see them out. I don't know what they go home to. I don't know what they dealt with in their life. So for me, it was changing their perspective. Like, you're seeing a moment. And I had a friend who had a daughter, and she needed a liver, I think, a kidney. A kidney, had to be a kidney, something like that. But that was just like, man, I could sit and complain about 10,000 things, and here is their child who is literally fighting for her life. Like, perspective like that. And it was like, what can we do to help them? Even with my girls, like, we collected books to take to the hospital because she lived so much of her life in the hospital. Yeah. So it's like, I can see that moment, but guess what? The next moment was their daughter in the hospital. One moment might have been them smiling out to dinner, and then the next moment in their life was doctors telling them she needed a kidney. I don't remember if it was kidney or liver, honestly. Yeah. But, like that. So it's just like, man, what is wrong with me? Thank goodness my children are healthy. I can be grateful for that. It's a moment, and we don't know what tomorrow holds. So just realizing to embrace every moment for what it is, because we don't know what the next moment will be.
Yeah, and a lot of people, I've had this conversation a lot over the years, and there are a lot of people that say, well, Jenny, you don't know my life. You don't know what I've been through. It's easier for you to have gratitude. It's easier for you because your life looks like this. But here's the truth of the matter. I have a story. I have a past that people don't know. We've been through some really hard things, but no matter what my story is, it doesn't invalidate yours. Yours doesn't invalidate mine. And so just because this is where you are in your season right now, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't want for bigger, bolder, and better things, because God wants a ton of, amazing things to happen in your life. So it doesn't mean that you should want for that, but it also means that if you are living in constant discontent and comparison, but you're not creating systems and methodologies and learning skills or doing things to push you forward, then you can't live in the lane of crying about why that's not your life. And that's a different piece of the conversation. But be comfortable where you are. It's okay to recognize the need for change. That's a different thing. But if you say, okay, I'm an okay human, I'm amazing, I have gifts, I have talents, despite the fact that my house doesn't look like I want it to, or my bank account doesn't look like what I want it to, or my marriage doesn't look like my parenting, whatever the things are, there are ways to make it look like what you want it to look like and what God wants it to look like in your life. And that's about steps forward. That's not losing yourself in the absolute season that you're in and then just pretending like that's all it's ever got to be.
100%. And to piggyback off of what you said, when you live in a state of discontentment, until you change your mindset, doesn't matter what you accomplish or you get, you'll find discontentment in it. So it's about changing the way that you see and think about things, because discontentment is a learned behavior that you taught yourself. Like, I can be, oh, what was me, or this or that. Like you said, you're seeing this, and hear this. In the moments, we still have bad stuff, y'all. Yeah. I might take a picture or be like, oh my gosh, and I'm like, yo, I'm struggling just like you. I might not be struggling with the same thing as you, but I still have struggles. And so even though people sometimes are like, oh my gosh, you're such a great speaker. Yo, I get scared. I don't know about anybody else, but every time I'm like, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can do this. And people look at me like, are you serious? I'm serious. I am in my car going, all right, you got to walk in here and you got to do this. And there are moments when I feel so inadequate at it. I can promise you, I was at an event, I spoke, as soon as I sat down in the chair and heard other people, I was like, oh my gosh, they're so much better than I was so horrible. I should have said, and I promise you that was the truth. And this was like a month ago. And then I was sitting in the seat and I was like, quarter drop. And I'm talking to myself. So people probably looking at myself like, who's she talking to? I was talking to me. Like, and so I want you to understand that even though you might look at someone and think they have it all together, or that their life is so great and grand, maybe it is. And maybe the truth is, I'm sure they have moments just like you.
Well, and the perspective to get to is, let's say that their life is beautiful. Let's say that their life is everything you imagine that it is. Your heart position should be that, oh my God, I am so glad that that's what they get to experience. Like, praise God that that's their story. Like, what can I learn from them? What can they show me? What can they teach me? Like, I pray that people I encounter are living their absolute best lives. There is no win for any of us when somebody is constantly struggling. It doesn't provide any joy for them. It doesn't provide any joy for us. And truthfully, I want to be around people who are really getting it right in a lot of ways, so that I can say, hey man, I really love that you're doing this. Teach me. What's your resource? How do I get this in my life? And that's about leveling up your circle, but that's a different conversation on a different day.
We might have that one too. Okay. Listen. Now, we're going to flip it into where comparison leads.
Okay.
Y'all, comparison is an emotional roller coaster if you allow it to be, and it leads to discontentment, sadness, like the enemy steals your joy. I know for me, that's where it leads when I find myself in a place of being discontent. It affects everything else in my life. I find fault with everything. Like, if one thing happens and I'm like, oh, I'm discontent or disappointed in that, if I don't check the attitude and the perspective, it affects everything else. And then I'm complaining about everything.
Yeah, for sure. For me, comparison does two things. One, it takes your elevator to the bottom floor, right? Because when you have an elevated mindset, your perspective is different, like you said, how you see the thing. So it's that. But the other thing it does is it gives you lawnmower syndrome. And lawnmower syndrome is something that I don't even know if that's a real term, but it's a thing that we see, and we do a lot of women's events, and we talk to a lot of women professionally and otherwise. And lawnmower syndrome is where you are constantly pulling the cord to try to start. It's a constant restart. It's never being launched, never being actually in a rhythm, always feeling like you're starting over. And that is because rather than trusting what God has for you and trusting your skills and your instinct and just moving forward in momentum, it's the constant, I don't know if I'm doing this right. So then suddenly you change something. And then you're starting over again, and then you're starting over again. And we're not talking about major life shifts and starting over. I mean, just even in the little things, just constantly starting over. So I think comparison does that a lot, because it has people stuck in the I don't have enough money, I don't have enough time, my kids do this, and there's every excuse in the book for why something can't be what you want it to be, because you've now compared how you look like, especially in the beginning of a journey. If you see somebody who's been doing something beautifully for 20, 30 years, because I get asked that all the time too. How are you such a great speaker? How are you so confident in front of crowds? Well, I've been practicing that skill for 20 plus years. I still practice in my living room. If I know I've got to do a talk, I set up the pillows and I give a whole conference. All right, my pillows have heard more talks than y'all have probably ever seen. But that's the stuff, right? Like, you don't have to keep starting over. Where you are is perfect. The skill you have is great. You just have to go.
I love that. And to piggyback on that, for me, it makes me not finish, because I'll start it and then I'm like, oh, well, it's not going to be what the vision that I had for it, so I'll just stop. And I found myself having all these things that I started but never finished. And so, because I'd start, see somebody else over here doing this, and be like, oh, well, mine's not as good as that, so let me not do it. Or start, see somebody over here doing something, oh, this isn't, it's the same, so I'm not going to do it because they're already doing it. Like, what? And so I would call it the start and stop. I would just start, then stop, start, stop, start. And it was like, I realized I was not a finisher. I didn't finish anything. I would just start a new thing. And I was like, okay, I can. And so I made myself, I think the one thing that I did was finish the book. And I didn't think I would. And I was like, you have to. And it wasn't even about the book. It was about finishing.
Just finishing the task.
Just finishing, no matter what it looks like. And I was in a group with a lady, and we had a date. And I was like, I'm going to push my date back. She's like, you're not. This is the date. It has to be done. Mm-hmm. So, y'all, I don't even know what this is going to look like. I sent it to the editor like the last possible minute and was like, if it's wrong, it's just going to be wrong. And I published the book. And I was like, take it or leave it. It's done, you know?
And how amazing did you feel just to get it done?
Oh, my gosh. It felt so good. It was
Sure
like
did.
I finished. And I was like, I don't even care. Like, truthfully, yeah, do you want people to buy it? Of course. But I didn't care. Finished it
because it wasn't about that.
It was about finishing. And so I encourage you, don't be the lawnmower. Start trying to get your momentum and be a finisher.
And it's so common in really smart individuals who are creative. Like if you've ever looked at yourself in the mirror and said, I know I'm smart, I know I'm capable, I know I can do this, I know I can do that, why can I not find success? Why can I not find my rhythm? It's simply because you're not doing it. You're just not taking action. And that's really it. That's why you look, and there are people that are far less skilled at you in something or less quote unquote talented in that area, and they're crushing it, and it's just because they're unwilling to not do it. They're willing to look silly at first to be great in the end. And I think of this picture. There's a picture when Michael Phelps, you know, the swimmer, when he was in the Olympics. I have no idea what year it is, so please don't try to quote me on a year. But there's a picture of him, and he's swimming down the lane, and his head is just down. He's just focused. And there's a guy next to him in the lane, and he's looking at Michael Phelps the whole time he's swimming. I bet you can guess which one of those guys won. It wasn't the guy who was focused on Michael Phelps' lane. Michael Phelps dogged it because he just never gave up. He just kept taking the action, and it was not an option to just not do it. So yeah, and I love that you did that because now you have a book.
Oh, just keep swimming, guys. Did y'all hear that? Just keep swimming. Dory, I love her. Just keep swimming.
It's so true. And be willing to look silly. It's okay to look silly for what you love.
Listen,
just do it.
It is. Like, I remember I started on Facebook Live, truthfully, and I remember thinking, oh my gosh, like wanting to delete the videos. And I didn't, because I was obedient to what God was telling me to do. But when I did the first one, I had no idea what it was going to be. Yeah. It was just like, what am I saying? What you want me to say? Like, what am I going to do? I'm going to go live and say what? And it was just like, encourage people. And so from that, just that, yes, it was a catalyst to everything else. Did I know where it was going to take me? No. So if you feel that internal knowing that this is something that I'm supposed to do it. Yeah. Doesn't matter what it looks like. Stop waiting on it to be perfect and the pretty bow and all the things. Just start, because I promise you'll get to a place of contentment when you just start.
Well, and the contentment too comes from the place when you really build a confidence in yourself and understanding that people are going to talk. They are going to look. They're going to say you look silly. They're going to not like what you wear. They're going to not like what you said. They're going to not agree with what you said. They're going to think you should have done it differently. If I would have done it, but they didn't do it. So there's going to be a whole host of things. All those fears that are in your head, well, what if someone XYZs? They probably will. Right. But you've got to get to a place where it doesn't matter, because the calling for whatever it is that you want is so much bigger. And the reality is, when we allow our comparison game and the discontentment to keep us boxed in, we are really being so selfish, because there's somebody out there who needs our gift. God didn't put it in you on accident. It wasn't like, whoop, we knocked it over on her. All right, fine, she might use it, she might not. It's there on purpose, and there's somebody out there that doesn't even know it yet, but they're praying for you, they're, meditating for you, whatever their thing is. They're looking for you, they just don't know it yet. And every second you wait is a day that you're not going to find your true peace, and they're not going to find their next move forward.
Nugget, hope y'all caught it. Your purpose connects to someone else. To say it all the time, and they can't walk in theirs until you're walking in yours. The light that you have, the gift that you've been given, whatever it is, it's not for you, it's for somebody else, and that's just the truth.
Yeah.
It's yours because he gave it to you, but it's yours to give. Yeah. You're only going to have as much as you give, and that's just the truth.
Yeah.
So.
I agree.
Okay, girl.
Oh, good stuff.
I know. Psalms 139:4. I'm going to read it so I don't mess it up and y'all be coming for me, okay? I praise you because I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful, and I know that's full well. Y'all, we're made the way we're meant to be. I am loud and all things extra, and for a very long time, I tried to convince myself that I couldn't be that. Take it or leave it. That is what it is. whoever you are is who you're meant to be. And when we don't walk in the authenticity of that, that's telling God he made a mistake, and he doesn't. He doesn't. You're fearfully and wonderfully made exactly how you're supposed to be. Trust that.
I agree.
All right. So how do we cultivate gratitude and shifts from comparison and non-contentment to gratitude and grounded?
So there's a lot of different schools of thought on gratitude and how you do it. Some people say, I just get up and I do daily affirmations. That may work for you. I have always found that the greatest way to really truly tie yourself to gratitude is to do a gratitude journal. I had a coach one time who taught me to do a gratitude journal, but she didn't have you gratitude in the way that normal people do, right? You typically get a journal and you write in, I'm grateful for the house and the kids and the car and whatever, right? So she would make you go beyond that. Like, fine, exhaust all the normal things that you could think of, and now get really granular. Get so granular where it's something as simple as, I'm grateful that I have carpet to walk on in my house because a cement floor would hurt my feet. Or just little things like, I'm grateful for this teacup because I like to drink tea and this is a beautiful cup and I get to enjoy it in this moment. So just even the smallest things, and then it begins to change the way your brain chemistry works because you begin to see things that you never really looked at before because you were always looking big picture and what wasn't working instead of the little pieces of your fabric that make everything come together.
Love that. Had a coach that did the same thing. He was like, okay, you're grateful for your children. Why? Not just I'm grateful for my child. What are you grateful for about that child? So it was taking that gratitude, but making it so much more than just grateful for my kids. What are you? Is it their laugh, their smile, their attitude? What is it that you're grateful for about them? So it changed the way I looked at gratitude, and I do my gratitude at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Because then it gives me that whole day to say, like, what am I grateful for in this day? I'm grateful for that on 501 when there was traffic, I didn't get caught in it because I took the back road. Lord, I thank you. Like, y'all can say what you want, but it's like, I'm grateful for that because it gave me back 30 minutes in my day that my daughter and I could go play pickleball or something like that. So somebody else might say, you're thankful for not traffic? Yeah, because it gave me time with my daughter. So I do it at the end of the day because it gives me, I'm able to look at my whole entire day and say, like, what was I grateful for in this day? And for me, I like that because my hope is that one day it'll be something that my daughters will read and be like, oh my gosh, a year ago today, or even I read a year ago today, I was grateful for this.
Yeah. I think one of the hardest lessons, and if you ladies are challenged with feeling like you live from a foundation of gratitude, one of the things I would encourage you to do is think about what you feel like is the worst part of your day. Take those pieces that you feel like are your suffering, right? Because there is joy found in suffering. And I know that sounds insane, but there is joy in suffering. And it's a must happen to get on the other side. So if you have something that's a really terrible part of your day, let's say that your bank account is empty. You're driving down 501, a nail hits your tire, blows your tire. You have no money to fix that tire, right? You're late to pick up the kid's at daycare, you can't get there, you're sweating under your brows and under your everything's because you can't get there. Your phone's on 1%, you don't have any way to notify the daycare that you're coming, and you feel like your whole world is falling apart. In that moment, you have to take a second and say, what am I grateful for? Because when you begin to look in those scenarios in your day, what you could find gratitude in, it will begin to shift everything. Like at the daycare, you might have someone that you've already communicated with. Hey, if I'm ever not on time, make sure you call my backup person. You can be grateful that you have a backup person. If you don't, find somebody that you trust and love to be a backup person. If you're on the side of the highway, you could be grateful that, you know what, there's a nail in my tire, it's blown, but you know what isn't happening? My car's not on fire, the radiator didn't blow, we don't have, we have oil, we have water, we're good, we have gas. If you don't have a tire, that's okay. You know people. There are churches. There's all kinds of stuff that you can be grateful for to help see you through that moment. And when you make that shift, that elevator goes up just a little bit every single time. And then one day you're going to look down and look back and go, man, I remember when that was my story and I would have reacted like XYZ, but because this is who I am now, God, it wasn't nearly as bad as I thought it was.
I had didn't have a flat, but I had Actually, I did have a flat in a rental car that I had just picked up, and I was like, there's no way. Y'all, I literally was sitting in the car, did not go into Target because I was like, I'm not going to spend no money. I'm going to stay here and read my book. And I'm like, is this car leaning? And it was a flat tire. I'm like, I should have went to Target and spent the money because I'm like, you know, rental car that had just given me, y'all, flat tire. Then weeks later, the other day, nail in my tire. I'm like, what? But I'm like, Lord, I thank you. It didn't blow and I didn't flip over. So, that's, you know, right. As much as it could have been like, oh my gosh, it's just learning to find gratitude in all the things, even the hard things. For me, another thing, I was a non-celebrator. I wouldn't even celebrate the big things. It was just keep going. And I celebrate the small things. I didn't eat ice cream today. That's a win. Thank you, Lord.
Is that a win?
I would eat ice cream every day
if I could.
I mean, it is and it isn't, I guess, because I would eat ice cream every day. But I'm eating healthier. So the fact that I don't eat it every day is a win. But I am going to have some today, just saying. Okay.
That sounds really good, actually.
You know, so learning to celebrate along the way. It's great to have the goal, because we all have them. Learning to celebrate before you even get to the goal.
Yeah.
Because truth is, I don't know if I will. I want to.
Yeah.
I don't know, though, for sure.
Sure.
So why not celebrate the moments along the way? Because those might be the only ones I have. Because I did an episode this week about plot twist. Those always happen. So as much as I want the goal, God might be like, yeah, that's what you thought, but I got something else over here for you. So for me, it's about cultivating where I celebrate the small wins, not just for myself, but for other people as well.
Oh, yeah.
Celebrating them when I see them post something. Because y'all know we sometimes do, I'll see it and be like, and keep flipping. I'm like, nope, swipe back down, go back and say congratulations, a heart, a smiley face, I don't care what it is. So that I don't allow myself to be like, oh, well, dang, how they got that? Or how did they do that? Or, you know, that I create a mindset of being grateful for other people as well as myself.
I think that's a really good point, because the more you edify other people and the more you pray for them and you care for them and you really get excited about them winning, like I said, if somebody's got a great life, be so excited for them. But one of my favorite things to do, and I know you'll attest to this, is I love complimenting women out in the wild. Like, and I mean big, like make it weird, like call them out compliments. Like I can think of an example going into Sam's Club probably a year ago. This woman came out, she had this beautiful jacket, the pants were pantsing, her bum looked good, and I'm as straight as it comes, but her bum looked good in them pants. And then she had on these beautiful boots, and when she came out, I was like, ma'am, you are doing that. That outfit is, yes, ma'am, please do that again, because you look amazing. And I just really wanted her to know. And honestly, the more you do that, the better you feel. It makes you excited to be alive when you know that you're creating joy in other people. And it absolutely creates a spark within your own heart to do things. And I think that's why I love working with women specifically, because it's really fun to watch that light bulb go on and be like, oh yeah, I am somebody. I am that girl.
Period. And is. Okay? Like, yes, I told you that's how I started, just giving people compliments. I literally was pumping gas the other day at Sam's Club, and this girl had these birdie dreads, and I was trying to get her attention, but she wasn't looking. I literally I was getting back in my car. I was like, no, I'm going to tell her. I walked around my car, kept social distance just in case, because, you know, it's crazy out here, and I wanted her to think I was trying to get her. But I was like, ma'am, and she was like, and I was like, excuse me, and she looked up, and I was like, I just had to tell you, your hair, I am here for it. I love it. And she was like, thank you. I was like, it looks so good. I did that to another lady, loved her haircut. She was like, I actually just got it cut. And I was like, I don't know. She was like, I didn't think I liked it. I said, ma'am, you are wearing it, and it is serving the people. I love it.
Yeah.
And she was like, thank you. You never know what someone else needs.
No.
You know, that how me just telling her I loved her hair, the smile on her face, she was just like, oh, thank you. I was like, I just had to tell you.
Yeah.
Like, I love it. And she was like, thank you so much. I got in my car and went on about my business. But it made me feel good just to give her the compliment that I was thinking. You know, because sometimes we think it, like you said, she looked good in the boots and the outfit was all the things. Oh, yeah. Why not say it to them?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and it's not a common thing that happens. And, you know, just from a place of wrestling away from your own discontentment, it really is such a joyful thing to watch somebody else's face light up. And I don't care how sour of a human you are, if you spend a whole week complimenting other people, genuinely, authentically, really meaning it,
And don't
with
be lying.
all the love in your heart, like for real doing it, I promise you, in a week's time, there's no way you're as sour as you started.
100%.
There's not a chance.
I 1,000% agree. And I started doing it because I didn't see things in myself. Like, I didn't think I was pretty. I didn't think any of those things. And so people were like, how did you get there? I started giving what I wanted to other people. That's the truth. I started giving the compliments and the you're beautiful, and learning through that I am too. And being able to look at them and saying it, and then coming home like, you got to look at yourself in the mirror and say it to you. And then be like, I don't believe this. And I said it until I did. You know, that's where affirmations came in for me. Yeah. I wasn't affirming them. I was proclaiming them at first because I didn't believe them.
Yeah.
You know, and so I just proclaimed it until I got to a place where I could affirm it, where I believed it. So if that's you today, proclaim it until you can affirm it. And that's okay too.
I started doing the complimenting and encouraging as early as elementary school because I'm a military brat. So I've been to a lot of new schools, met a lot of new faces, and it was my way of connecting. It was my way of getting people to disarm themselves when the new kid came in, and you know, it just helped me create connections much faster because it disarmed other people and allowed them to say, okay.
Same.
And that's the authenticity and the genuineness that has to exist. But yeah, it creates connections very easily.
Yeah, I was always the one to go to the new kid because I knew how it felt to be the new kid. My dad was in the military and the Air Force, and so it's like, I would be like, hey, what's your name? Even now, I'll walk up to some random person and be like, hey, what's your name? Or I say, hey, how are you? And the little 2 minutes that they give us, I'm like, hey, I'm like, good morning. And I was like, what's your name? And I know they're like, well, he was just saying, say hey to your neighbor, but I want to know your name. So the next time I see you, I can say, hey, Jane. Do you too? And I'm just like, hey, my name is Tasha. And they're like,
that's funny.
Oh, we're exchanging names. And I'm like,
they're like, oh, you in it.
I know, right? What's your name? Because I want to know, right? So, yeah, I am the person. If you sit on my row, I'm going to ask your name, okay? Just so you know. Just so you know. All right, y'all, we are talking about embracing your lane and celebrating your uniqueness. I like to talk about, look at it through the lens of the 3 Ps. Embracing your peace, your purpose, and your process. It's all different. We all are going to get there in different ways. Peace, your purpose, and your process. Why did I say peace? Pace. Your pace, y'all. Sorry, my bad. We'll get that.
That's okay.
Embracing your pace, your purpose, and your process. Yes. I videoed this turtle yesterday. And, you know, he was moving. And you know how turtles move slow. My boy was trucking. I don't know how fast he was going, but I'm telling you, those legs and all the things were moving. And I'm like, man, that turtle is moving fast. And it just made me think about, it might look to other people that you're going a mile an hour. And maybe you are. And maybe the person over there is going 75 miles an hour. It doesn't make your pace any less important as theirs. The time that it's taking is the time it needs to take.
Okay.
Yeah,
I can be with that. Well, so I think it depends, right? It depends on what you're trying to accomplish, because there are certain times where, like, I have incredible women like Tasha in my life, and they're great at encouraging, and then I'm like, okay, I need to up my pace. I need to step up a little bit, and not because I'm feeling a lack in where I'm at, but because I'm excited about accomplishing more. And sometimes when you see in others that more can be done, it just reminds you that you're capable of more, because life has a way of lifing, and then suddenly you feel exhausted and you let that exhaustion take over, and then it just takes something simple to reignite that spark. So yeah, in some senses, yes, I would say your pace is your pace, but there are some moments where the recognition that it's time to pick up, put a little fuel in the tank and go is not a bad thing either.
Oh, 100% not.
Yeah.
So you're always going to have those moments. It's just like a race. They start out with the pace, whatever that pace is. And some people can start running faster because they know at the end they don't need as much because they create that gap.
Absolutely.
Versus somebody who has to start slow and know they got a kick at the end. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not worried. What I want to say is that it's okay however you started.
Yeah.
You know, like, because they'd be like, oh, they started fast, that means I need to start fast. Not necessarily.
No, not
but
necessarily.
always looking at,
No.
of course, absolutely seeing people that are like, oh, girl, you got to get it together. You've been around here slacking a little bit. I think that's different than just
for sure.
always looking, you know, like,
and if
oh,
they
I
don't
gotta
know what you're trying to accomplish, they don't understand where you're trying to get.
Right.
And sometimes all advice isn't good advice, even if it's good for somebody else. I mean, that's a really good one. Take that home, because that's really good, because you have a lot of gurus out in the world who are teaching a lot of really powerful things, but some of their advice isn't meant for you because your trajectory is different and you're not trying to get where some of these people are going. Right. And that's okay. I think that's totally fine. Now, you won't catch me running. I probably should run. You'll be catching me walking slow. I used to run. That was a long time ago. But yeah, no, I agree. And I think I like that. Purpose and process and pace. I like it.
And I think, to say to what you were saying, I think it's remembering that the advice, good, maybe, but may not be what you need right now.
Yeah, correct.
I always say, like, somebody gives you something, I write it in what I call the parking lot, and that's a book that I have that of all the wonderful ideas that God gives me. But then I'm like, okay, it's not a right now idea, I don't feel, but I feel like He'll give it to me when He's supposed to. And some things I feel are absolutely not for me. I feel like He gave it to me to give it to somebody else, and He'll show me that moment. So I think realizing, yes, I heard the advice, maybe it's not what I need right now, and always putting it kind of in the back pocket is what I like to say, because it may be a time when you do need it. And you're like, I know why Jenna said that.
Why?
Now I know now.
What you mean?
No, I'm saying,
yeah,
in my back pocket, I can go back like, oh, I need that.
Gotcha. Yeah.
You know, maybe when she gives it to me, I'm like, oh, okay, that's good. And then a month later, I'm like, oh, I get it now. That's why you have her give me that, God. I understand.
Yeah. We see it a lot in the business world because there are so many people out here telling everybody and their mother they're supposed to be an entrepreneur. And the truth is...
And that ain't true.
No. In some seasons, you're not meant to be a business owner. Maybe not ever. And that's okay. That's really okay. It's okay to have a normal job if that's your gig. It's okay to be an entrepreneur, self-employed. But there's also going to be times where you're going to hear the same advice 30,000 times, but it's not going to register for you until the right person says it. So there's that piece. And then there's also being really mindful of your circle, which I know that's not what this episode is about, but being really mindful of your circle, that just because everybody else is getting hyped up about the advice doesn't necessarily mean that it's the missing piece to your puzzle, because again, their story might be a little different. But I also just really love embracing who you are. Like, embrace your weirdness. I'm such a weirdo, like in the biggest way. I'm such a weirdo. And I know that. And I'm a lot for a lot of people. And I have to, put it out there and just let them know that, like, hey, if you need me to, just kind of like with clients, right? I'm in lending, real estate. It requires all different types of personalities. Clients have all different personalities. And occasionally I have to tone it down for somebody just because I see that it overwhelms them. I had an autistic client recently, and we had to work through that, and that was a really unique experience, which was cool. But outside of things like that, where you're just being accommodating for somebody out of respect, embrace your weirdness. Your weirdness is your magic. God gave it to you to specifically share with the world.
100%. I already tell you, I'm all things extra, and if it sparkles, I want it. And that is not everyone's lane, and that's okay. I love the glitter, the sparkles, and I had to embrace that, but I also learned, like you said, to navigate it.
Yeah.
Like, I had a guest on, and I was like, hey, good morning, and they were like, and I was like, okay, reel it in. All right, on today's episode of the Squad Podcast, because I realized that it wasn't their energy. And it's okay, because you just adapt and adjust is what I like to call it. Like, it's okay for being authentically you, and I was, and I also was just a little lower toned authentically me. And so I think it's great to embrace. One, your paces may be different. Two, y'all, we all have a purpose. And that is something that you were specifically created to do in this earth. And it don't matter how many people you look at and you're like, oh, they're doing it too. There's only one you. People all the time, they're like, I tell everyone to get a real estate license. I really and truly do. They're like, oh, I'm thinking about real estate. Go get your license. And they're like, why did you do that? Because there's room for us all. We gotta stop creating this narrative. If they come, then there's less for me. What's mine is mine. And when you get to that place in life, you'll understand that our God is an abundant God. He don't lack anything. So He has enough for us all. So you wanna go do it, go do it. There's a bakery around the corner. Who cares? Open another one if you want to. I say entrepreneurship, Okay. If not, okay too. Stop telling people, oh, you need to own a business. Maybe they don't. Maybe they do. And it's not, everyone does not have the same story. And if we create the narrative that everyone has to, then who's going to be there to serve us when we need to be served? Or, I'm like, if Walmart is your jam, be the best Walmart worker there is. There's nothing wrong with that. And don't let anybody tell you that you should want more. Maybe you don't. Maybe you're content with working there, and be content in that. Yeah. If that's your jam, and stop letting people well, I should want more. If you do, cool. If you don't, okay. If it's paying your bills and you living a life and you happy with where you are, don't let anybody tell you that's not where you're supposed to be.
Yeah. Well, there's a great quote. It's like, stop letting people who have no vision for their own life start, or speak into yours, because God has a plan for you. And the truth of the matter is, like, we also have to stop stealing our visions from social media.
Period.
Like, let's be so for real. When you stop for a second and you think about what your best life would really look like, it probably doesn't involve a lot of the stuff that you think you want, think you need. It's probably a lot simpler than that, and those things are just going to be blessings on blessings if that's what happens to come along in your life. But the reality is, saw it the other day, there was a couple, they're famous on TikTok, very well-known couple, and they make millions of dollars a year now on TikTok. But for the beginning of their TikTok career, they paid $45,000 a month to rent a mansion. They didn't really have the money. They begged, borrowed, stole from Peter to pay Piper, or whatever the saying is, to fake this mansion so that they could become famous TikTokers. And so a lot of people look at that and be like, well, it worked. They're making millions. Yeah, but in the meantime, by selling that lie and living by that lie, they have other people out here doing things that they have no business doing, trying to keep up with the Joneses, and it wasn't their real story. There was nothing real about that story. Did it end up in financial gain for them? Yeah, but not all money's good money. And that's that.
You heard. Okay, you heard what she said. All the nuggets, hope y'all caught them all. Because that was good. It's true. It's true. Okay, so Jenny, how do you think, when we're talking about celebrating, we're in the era of girls girl, how do you think that you can authentically be a girl's girl and celebrate other women? What's your thing that you this is how you do it?
Ooh, so many things. I think one, being authentically happy for their joy and success. That's a big one.
Okay.
I think the other thing is having relationships where you have people who can sharpen you and be okay sharpening you, and not feel like every time somebody says something that doesn't feel good to your ears or to your heart, that it's them coming at you in some type of way, that you can receive that criticism and either one, understand the lens they're looking at it through, or two, say, you know what, I really appreciate that you took the time to share that with me, and I'm going to pray on that, or I'm going to spend some time on that and really think about why you might have seen it that way, rather than immediately thinking that somebody is out for you. I mean, being a girl's girl is also understanding how to receive information, not just give information, because there are so many miscommunications that happen between women because they heard a snippet of something, and either they heard it from somebody else or they heard it from the person, and instead of really taking time with it and appreciating where that person might have been coming from, they immediately took it to mean X, Y, and Z. And if you are a parent, you always understand that when your kids are coming to you with something, there's a message and then there's an underlying something. There's always some kind of propellant for why they reacted the way they did, and it's never the immediate first thing that they tell you. So I think as women, that's a great way to be a girl's girl, is also be a good recipient of information, so you know that you received it as it was intended and not as you thought it was intended. And then I think outside of that, just being actively a champion for other people. Speak beautifully about other people when they're not in rooms with you. Talk really lovely about who they are and what they create and where their talent is. I don't care if you're mad at them. If you're mad at them, that's your beef with them. That's not everybody else's beef with them. You still champion them in other rooms, unless they're just somebody that you certainly don't align with. And I mean, from a deep, deep value perspective, then you can just say, you know what? I've met them. I think they're, I don't know them very well, but I'd love to hear what you got going on in your life, and then flip the conversation to talk about something and not that person.
100%.
Yeah, I think that's really my top three. Was that three? I think that was three.
Yeah, loved it.
Okay.
Here for that.
How about you?
I would say being the woman in the room that does change the conversation, because I know how it felt for a woman to talk about you. So don't be the one that does that, but change the narrative on it. Understand the perspective, the lens that you're viewing things. I think to say what you were saying about like, oh gosh, the first thing that you said.
About receiving.
Yes, how you receive that information. How you receive it depends on the lens that you look at it through.
Yeah.
And that means, am I looking at this from a place of hurt because I was hurt by a woman that looked like that or did something like that, and so I'm giving her information based on that hurt lens? Or am I taking the time to sit to change my perspective and see what I was call God's eye view of it, of the situation, or removing myself to say, okay, my feelings are hurt because of this, and is the information that I'm telling myself correct or not? Like, where's the evidence of it? I will say, I know we had, and I was like, well, my feelings were kind of hurt, and you were like, oh my gosh, like that wasn't the intent at all.
Oh, not even close,
we were able to talk through it because I was able to look at it like, that's not her character, and I know that that's not who she is.
Sure.
So as much as I feel like my feelings are hurt, I have to remove that and say, you know her, and that's not who she is. Go have the conversation and say, well, my feelings are just a little bit hurt, and then we were able to talk through like, no, that was not the intent at all. That
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh, didn't know. And you have to be a woman enough to be able to go to the other person and say,
and
like,
that's a big piece of it.
I was hurt,
have a
I'm upset, or whatever the case may be, so you can get to the other side of it. I think that's important about being, as far as being a girl's girl, being able to go have a conversation with the person you need to have it with instead of other women.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, I think that's a big thing. And that's why, in that particular moment that she's referencing, that's why I reached out, because I knew that something was off. I felt it. And so I am not the kind of girl who's going to let that stuff lie, because I don't like unrepaired things. At the end of the day, we've all got too much goodness in us and too many things that we want to create and build, and it's not okay to let broken pieces lie around that become tripping hazards.
Right.
So, and losing friendships or allowing relationships to break because you didn't have the conversation is such a loss.
Yeah.
Because friendships can be like a divorce, right? I mean, that grief can be just as deep. And I think those conversations are massive, and most women are not having them. They're discussing it with other people instead.
Yeah.
And those people are then further poisoning the well, because they're looking at it from their lens, which may have no real context at all. And then suddenly the well is so deep that you can't find your way back, because the actual thing that was this big has now become this big. Yeah. And that wasn't ever the intention from the beginning. So I think that's big as a girl's girl.
100%.
Huge.
And then there are other women that are involved that ain't got nothing to do with it, because you didn't go have a conversation with that person. You had it with other people. And now they're feeling some type of way, and they don't even know them.
That's right. And I don't gossip. You know me. I will not gossip.
Right.
If somebody starts talking nasty about somebody in my presence, I'll be like, I'm out.
I'll see y'all later.
Or I'll even try to correct them in the conversation. I'll say, this is not a great use of time. I've had nothing but a great experience with her, and I'd really appreciate it if we just didn't, hurt her name in this group. Yeah, 100%.
Love that. Okay. I think, let me see where we're at.
So many things covered.
Right. Okay, we're at the rapid fire session.
Oh, Lord.
Y'all.
Oh, Lord. Okay.
But before we do that, we're going to give a little bit, I'm going to go back. So y'all be able to talk through the things that you need to talk through. It's okay for you to have an issue or feel like this was, not her best moment or whatever the case may be.
For sure.
But understand that at the end of the day, we're all just out here trying to make it, okay?
Absolutely.
All right, we're going to get into our rapid fire, Miss Jenna King. Are you ready? All right.
Okay.
First thing that comes to mind.
Yes. Sorry. Okay. First thing that comes to mind.
Yep. Okay, you ready?
Yes.
What's a quote that you live by?
Ooh, a quote that I live by. God, there's so many. I should have been ready. I'm not ready. There's so many. I would say if I had to pick one quote that I live by, it would probably be Philippians 4:13, which is, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And that's not really a quote, it's a verse. But I have always lived by that since I was young. That's always been my favorite. And that's it.
I like it. All right. Morning coffee or evening tea?
Tea, definitely. I'm not a coffee drinker.
Okay, got it. Favorite book?
Ooh, Pride and Prejudice.
Okay, like it. When do you feel most confident?
When I'm in the room with other powerful women, I get most confident.
Oh, It must use emoji.
Definitely the laugh.
All right, favorite hype song?
Ooh, probably Corinne Hawthorne, Unstoppable.
That's my jam. Yeah,
I know, I love that song. I love that
song. Okay, if comparison had a voice, what would you say to silence it?
Shush. That's not what my father says about me.
Shush.
Shush.
Okay, y'all heard that.
There we go.
Y'all. I want to encourage you. The one thing I want to leave you with is God did not make you a copy.
Amen.
He made you you.
Yes.
Be authentically who he created you to be.
Yes.
Jenny, thank you so
Thank
much
you
for hanging out with us today and the ladies of the squad. Y'all, if you're not following her, make sure you follow Miss Jenny King. You're looking for a loan, make sure that you reach out to her. She is
so
definitely
kind.
the girl for that. Y'all, if this spoke to you, please send it to a sister that you know needs to hear it. Somebody who you see has a potential and all the wonderful and great things inside of them and that needs to move forward. Y'all, look at them and tell them, hey, you can make it. This episode really spoke to me. Listen to it. Be the woman in the room that champions around other people.
Yes.
Even when you're in your waiting room.
Absolutely.
Did y'all hear that? Thank you so much for tuning in,
ladies.
squad. We love you so much. See you next time. Bye.